In the choking haze of planet Velox, where every breath could be your last, one man's encounter with an otherworldly being ignites a chain reaction that will change the fate of two civilizations forever. When the skies burn crimson with an alien threat, can two species overcome their differences to survive? Stay until the end to witness an alliance that defies both science and prejudice. Don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling tales from beyond our stars. The air on Velox shimmered with toxicity, each breath inside the mining dome a calculated risk despite the filtration systems. Michael Reed adjusted his respirator, the familiar hiss of purified oxygen filling his ears as he worked the crystalline vein. 8 years of digging through this alien rock had taught him more than just mineral patterns. It had shown him loneliness in its purest form. Beyond these reinforced walls, the native aerials soared through poisoned skies, their translucent forms glimmering like ghosts in the perpetual twilight. They were beautiful, untouchable creatures who could cleanse the atmosphere with a single exhalation, yet remained distant observers of humanity's desperate mining operations. Michael often wondered what thoughts passed through their ethereal minds as they watched humans struggle against the very environment they'd learned to master centuries ago. The mining colony itself was a labyrinth of tunnels and domes, a patchwork of human ingenuity clinging to life in one of the harshest environments imaginable. Every day, miners like Michael braved the toxic air to extract precious crystals, the only resource keeping the colony alive. These crystals powered everything from air filtration systems to communication arrays, making them the lifeline of human existence on Velox. Yet, despite their importance, the work was grueling and dangerous. Cave-ins, equipment failures, and toxic exposure were constant threats, and the psychological toll of isolation weighed heavily on everyone. Michael had seen colleagues break under the pressure, their minds unraveling in the suffocating darkness of the mines. Still, there was something about Velox that fascinated him. The planet was a paradox, deadly yet mesmerizing, harsh yet strangely beautiful. Its skies, perpetually veiled in swirling clouds of violet and indigo, seemed to pulse with an energy that defied explanation. And then there were the aerials, whose presence added an element of mystery to the already enigmatic world. They moved with a grace that seemed almost supernatural, their translucent wings catching the dim light in ways that made them appear otherworldly. Michael couldn't help but feel a sense of awe whenever he caught a glimpse of them, even if their aloofness left him feeling more isolated than ever. His fascination with the aerials wasn't unique. Many miners harbored similar feelings, though few spoke openly about it. The official stance of the mining corporation was clear: the aerials were to be respected but avoided. Any interaction was strictly prohibited, not because of any known hostility from the aerials themselves, but because of the potential for misunderstanding or conflict. Yet, despite these warnings, Michael found himself drawn to them, his curiosity growing with each passing day. He often lingered at the edges of the colony's boundaries, hoping for a closer look at the beings who shared this hostile world with humanity. Little did he know that his curiosity would soon lead him down a path he could never have imagined. That fateful day began like any other, with the rhythmic pounding of extraction tools against crystalline deposits. But as Michael maneuvered his equipment through a particularly unstable shaft, a sudden collapse sent him tumbling into an uncharted cavern. His suit's warning alarm screamed as oxygen levels plummeted, but before darkness claimed him, a presence materialized through the settling dust. She emerged from the toxic mist, Serena, her silvery skin catching the dim light, wings folding gracefully around her tall frame. Her eyes, pools of liquid amethyst, held his gaze as she extended a delicate hand. Without words, she shared her essence, flooding his lungs with purified air that tasted sweeter than anything he'd known. This intimate exchange marked the beginning of something neither species had experienced before, a connection that transcended biological boundaries and cultural taboos. Serena's touch was unlike anything Michael had ever felt. It wasn't just the physical sensation of clean air filling his lungs, but something deeper, almost spiritual. For a brief moment, he felt as though he could see the world through her eyes. The swirling toxins transformed into vibrant colors, the oppressive weight of the atmosphere replaced by a sense of freedom and clarity. When she finally withdrew her hand, Michael gasped, not from the return of toxic air, but from the realization that he had been holding his breath, unwilling to let go of the connection they had shared. Serena, too, seemed affected by the encounter. Her wings fluttered nervously, and her eyes darted toward the entrance of the cavern as though expecting others to arrive. Michael instinctively reached out to reassure her, but she stepped back, her expression a mixture of curiosity and caution. It was clear that she understood the gravity of what just transpired, an act that defied the laws of her people and placed her in direct opposition to their strict codes of conduct. Yet, despite the risks, she lingered, her gaze fixed on Michael with an intensity that suggested she was as intrigued by him as he was by her. Their initial attempts at communication were clumsy and frustrating. Michael tried speaking, but his words were met with confusion. Serena, in turn, gestured with her hands and emitted soft, melodic tones that seemed to resonate in the air around them. Eventually, they resorted to simpler methods, drawing symbols in the dust, mimicking actions, and sharing gestures that conveyed basic emotions and concepts. These rudimentary exchanges were slow and laborious, but they laid the foundation for something far greater than either of them could have anticipated. As days turned into weeks, their meetings became more frequent, hidden in the labyrinthine tunnels where surveillance was impossible. Each encounter brought new revelations, not just about their respective species, but about the world they shared. Serena revealed fragments of her people's history, how they had once thrived across countless worlds until retreating to Velox when their abilities became too dangerous to wield freely. Michael, in turn, shared stories of Earth, the blue planet he had never seen but longed for nonetheless. Through these exchanges, they discovered common ground in their mutual frustration with their respective societies' rigid rules and began to dream of a future where such barriers could be overcome. Back in the relative safety of the mining colony, Michael found himself haunted by memories of Serena's touch. The Ariels were known to be peaceful yet distant, their society built upon strict codes of non-interference with other species. Yet something in Serena's actions suggested a deeper understanding, perhaps even a longing for connection. As days turned to weeks, their meetings became more frequent, hidden in the labyrinthine tunnels where surveillance was impossible. Through broken attempts at communication, gestures, primitive drawings, and eventually a rudimentary shared language, they discovered common ground in their mutual frustration with their respective societies' rigid rules. Serena revealed fragments of her people's history, how they had once thrived across countless worlds until retreating to Velox when their abilities became too dangerous to wield freely. Her words painted a picture of a proud but cautious race, one that had learned through bitter experience the consequences of overextending their influence. The Ariels' retreat to Velox had been an act of self-preservation, a way to protect themselves and others from the unintended side effects of their atmospheric manipulation. Yet, as Serena explained, this isolation had come at a cost. Over generations, her people had grown disconnected not only from other species but also from their own potential. Many among them longed for change, though few dared to voice such thoughts openly. Michael listened intently, his respect for Serena deepening with each revelation. He shared his own stories of Earth, a planet he had never seen but knew through tales passed down by older generations. His descriptions of blue skies, open fields, and clean air fascinated Serena, who had only ever known Velox's toxic haze. In turn, she described the beauty of Velox before its atmosphere had been corrupted: vast crystalline forests that shimmered under twin suns, rivers that glowed with bioluminescent life, and skies so clear they seemed infinite. Their exchanges created a bridge between two worlds, one physical and one imagined, forging a bond that transcended their differences. Yet, the weight of their secret grew heavier with each passing day. Michael noticed subtle changes in Serena's demeanor during their meetings. She became more cautious, often pausing mid-conversation to listen for sounds that might indicate eavesdroppers. Once, she arrived with a faint bruise on her arm, though she refused to explain its origin. When pressed, she simply shook her head and whispered, not now. It was clear that their relationship was being scrutinized, though whether by her people or his remained unclear. Despite the risks, neither could bring themselves to sever the connection. For Michael, Serena represented hope, a chance to break free from the monotony and isolation of life on Velox. For Serena, Michael embodied curiosity and courage, qualities she admired but rarely encountered among her own kind. Together, they began to dream of a future where their species might coexist peacefully, sharing knowledge and resources rather than remaining divided by fear and misunderstanding. But such dreams required action, and action carried consequences neither was fully prepared to face. Their growing bond faced its first true test during a routine mining operation gone wrong. A catastrophic pressure shift caused a chain reaction of cave-ins throughout the eastern sector. Michael's team barely escaped with their lives, but several aerials were trapped in adjacent tunnels. Protocol demanded evacuation without assistance, but Serena's distress transformed Michael's hesitation into action. Rallying his crew, they worked alongside the ethereal beings, their combined efforts saving dozens of lives. This unprecedented cooperation drew unwanted attention from both sides. Human supervisors viewed it as fraternization with potential saboteurs, while aerial elders saw betrayal of their isolationist doctrine. The rescue operation unfolded in chaos. Dust filled the air, and the acrid smell of ruptured gas lines stung Michael's nostrils even through his respirator. His team scrambled to stabilize collapsing supports while Serena directed her people with urgent gestures and melodic calls. At one point, Michael found himself shoulder to shoulder with an aerial worker, their combined strength holding up a massive beam long enough for others to escape. The moment was fleeting but profound, a glimpse of what collaboration could achieve if given the chance. When the dust settled, the aftermath proved equally challenging. News of the joint effort spread quickly, reaching the ears of both human overseers and aerial council members. Michael was summoned to a disciplinary hearing where he faced accusations of compromising colony security. His defense, that saving lives took precedence over protocol, fell on deaf ears. Meanwhile, Serena endured similar scrutiny within her community. Elders accused her of undermining centuries of tradition, warning that such interactions could lead to cultural contamination and eventual extinction. Yet amidst the backlash, a small group from both species began secretly sharing knowledge, planting seeds of understanding between two cultures separated by centuries of mutual distrust. These rebels included miners weary of living in constant danger, engineers intrigued by aerial biology, and young aerials eager to explore beyond their prescribed roles. They met in hidden chambers beneath the mining complex, exchanging ideas and strategies for fostering cooperation. Michael and Serena became unwitting figureheads of this movement, their personal connections serving as proof that unity was possible despite the odds. The underground network grew cautiously, its members aware that exposure could mean imprisonment or worse. Yet the sense of purpose they shared outweighed their fears. For the first time, many felt they were part of something larger than themselves, a shared mission to reshape the future of Velox. And as whispers of change spread, so too did the realization that their alliance might be the key to surviving the challenges ahead. As winter approached, bringing increased atmospheric toxicity, tensions escalated between the mining colony and aerial territories. Human engineers, frustrated by declining crystal yields, proposed aggressive expansion into protected zones. The aerials responded with demonstrations of their atmospheric cleansing abilities, creating temporary clearings that only highlighted the growing environmental crisis. During one such confrontation, Michael witnessed Serena challenge her own council, arguing for controlled cooperation rather than complete separation. Her voice carried authority despite her youth, revealing her status as a rising leader among her people. The standoff ended abruptly when scout drones detected unusual energy signatures approaching Velox's outer orbit, signs of a threat far greater than interspecies conflict. The discovery forced both groups to temporarily set aside their differences, though trust remained as fragile as the thinning atmosphere. Emergency meetings were held, bringing together representatives from both sides to discuss the implications of the unknown presence. Serena emerged as a key mediator, her ability to communicate effectively with humans giving her unique leverage in negotiations. She argued passionately for a unified approach, emphasizing that survival would require all available resources and expertise. Her words resonated with some, but were met with skepticism by others who viewed cooperation as a slippery slope toward further compromise. Michael, too, found himself thrust into a leadership role. His actions during the cave-in had earned him a measure of respect among his peers, though not without controversy. Some saw him as a hero, others labeled him reckless. Regardless, his first-hand experience working alongside aerials made him an invaluable asset in discussions about joint defense strategies. He advocated for transparency, urging both sides to share intelligence and technology openly. The looming threat added urgency to these debates. Initial scans suggested the energy signatures belonged to a fleet of ships, their size and configuration unlike anything recorded in human or aerial databases. Speculation ran rampant. Were they explorers, traders, or invaders? Whatever their intent, their arrival coincided with a noticeable deterioration in Velox's already precarious environment. Toxic levels spiked unpredictably, and strange phenomena began occurring in the skies, flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and eerie silences that blanketed entire regions. Against this backdrop of uncertainty, Michael and Serena continued to meet in secret, their conversations shifting from personal matters to strategic planning. They knew time was running out, not just for their relationship, but for the survival of both species. If they hoped to weather the storm ahead, they would need to convince others to embrace the same courage and trust they had found in each other. Initial scans painted a chilling picture, an armada of unknown origin, their ships pulsing with dark energy that seemed to feed on Velox's toxic atmosphere. Michael and Serena found themselves thrust into positions of leadership as panic spread through both communities. Human military advisors advocated for preemptive strikes, while aerial strategists warned against provoking an enemy whose technology appeared vastly superior. Through their unique perspective bridging both species, the unlikely pair identified a crucial pattern. The invaders' movements correlated with areas of highest atmospheric contamination. This insight led to a controversial proposal, combining human engineering with aerial biology to create hybrid purification systems capable of destabilizing the invaders' energy source. The plan required unprecedented levels of cooperation, risking exposure of their secret alliance to increasingly suspicious authorities on both sides. To make matters worse, time was not on their side. The invaders' fleet was advancing steadily, and preliminary probes had already begun descending into Velox's atmosphere, testing defenses and gathering data. Each passing hour brought them closer to full-scale invasion, leaving little room for error or delay. Michael and Serena worked tirelessly to rally support for their idea. They convened clandestine meetings in abandoned tunnels, bringing together scientists, engineers, and thinkers from both species. At first, skepticism ran high. Human experts dismissed aerial contributions as impractical or too alien to integrate, while aerial scholars viewed human technology as crude and inefficient. Yet, under Michael and Serena's guidance, these disparate groups began to find common ground. Slowly but surely, they developed prototypes that merged crystalline structures with organic components, creating devices that could neutralize toxins while emitting frequencies disruptive to the invaders' energy signatures. The process was fraught with challenges. Prototypes failed repeatedly, sometimes catastrophically, releasing bursts of unstable energy that endangered everyone involved. Supplies were scarce, and resources had to be diverted from other critical projects, drawing scrutiny from higher-ups who questioned the legitimacy of the endeavor. Despite these obstacles, progress was made. By the time the first wave of the invasion fleet entered orbit, a functional prototype stood ready, fragile and untested, but promising enough to warrant deployment. Yet even as hope flickered to life, betrayal loomed. Rumors of their activities reached the ears of powerful figures within both human and aerial hierarchies. Accusations flew, alliances fractured, and trust grew ever more tenuous. Michael and Serena knew they were walking a razor's edge, their vision of unity hanging by a thread. Still, they pressed on, driven by the belief that failure was not an option. If their hybrid technology could work, it might not only save Velox but also pave the way for lasting peace between their species. Preparations for the defense of Velox revealed deep-seated prejudices within both societies. Human workers sabotaged equipment intended for joint operations, while some Ariels refused to share critical atmospheric data. Michael and Serena's relationship became public knowledge when they were caught coordinating strategy meetings in neutral territory. The backlash was immediate and severe. Michael faced court-martial charges, while Serena was placed under house arrest by her own people. Yet their punishment only strengthened the resolve of those who believed in their vision. Underground networks formed, smuggling vital resources and information between sympathetic factions. In secret chambers beneath the mining complex, scientists from both species worked feverishly to perfect the hybrid technology, their progress measured against the rapidly approaching deadline imposed by the invaders' advance. Tensions ran high, tempers flared, and exhaustion took its toll. Many questioned whether the effort was worth the risk, especially given the mounting pressure from their respective governments. Some argued that focusing on evacuation plans would be wiser, while others insisted that surrender might be the only way to avoid total annihilation. Michael and Serena bore the brunt of this stress. Their bond, once a source of strength, now felt like a burden. Every decision they made carried enormous weight, every misstep potentially catastrophic. There were moments when doubt crept in, when the enormity of what they were attempting seemed insurmountable. Yet, in quieter moments, they reminded each other why they had started down this path in the first place. For Michael, it was the memory of Serena's wings glowing softly in the darkness, a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in despair. For Serena, it was Michael's unwavering determination, his refusal to give up even when all odds were stacked against him. As the final preparations neared completion, the underground network expanded beyond scientists and engineers. Ordinary citizens, miners, farmers, artisans joined the cause, contributing whatever skills or materials they could spare. Acts of sabotage became less frequent, replaced by cautious acceptance and, in some cases, outright support. Stories of Michael and Serena's collaboration spread, inspiring others to set aside old grievances and work toward a shared goal. Though mistrust lingered, particularly among the upper echelons of power, grassroots movements began to take root, signaling a shift in public sentiment. By the time the invaders launched their first assault, the hybrid purification system was operational, though far from perfect. Its deployment marked a turning point, not just in the defense of Velox, but in the evolution of human-aerial relations. What had begun as a desperate gamble had transformed into a symbol of unity, proof that cooperation could yield results neither species could achieve alone. As Michael activated the system for the first time, watching as shimmering waves of energy radiated outward, he allowed himself a moment of quiet pride. This was their legacy, forged in struggle and sacrifice, and it would endure long after the battle was over. The invaders' initial probes descended without warning, their dark forms slicing through Velox's atmosphere like shards of obsidian. These autonomous scouts tested defenses, adapting to countermeasures with alarming speed. Michael led a combined response team, coordinating human firepower with aerial atmospheric manipulation in real time. Each engagement provided valuable data about the enemy's capabilities, but also exposed weaknesses in their alliance. Communication breakdowns cost lives, and mistrust nearly led to friendly fire incidents. Through these trials, Michael and Serena developed a battlefield synergy that transcended their species' limitations. Their ability to anticipate each other's moves became crucial during a pivotal skirmish that protected the prototype purification system. When a scout drone targeted the device with a concentrated energy beam, Serena instinctively shielded it with her body, absorbing the blast at great personal cost. Her wings faltered, and she collapsed, prompting Michael to abandon his position and rush to her side. In that moment, their connection deepened further, evolving into something almost telepathic. They could sense each other's thoughts, emotions, and intentions, enabling them to act as one cohesive unit. This newfound dynamic proved invaluable during subsequent engagements. When human forces struggled to adapt to the invaders' advanced tactics, aerial units stepped in, using their mastery of atmospheric currents to disrupt enemy formations. Conversely, when aerials faced overwhelming firepower, human reinforcements provided cover, allowing them to regroup and counterattack. Together, they turned what could have been devastating losses into hard-fought victories, slowly chipping away at the invaders' superiority. Yet success came at a price. Casualties mounted on both sides, and the strain of constant combat began to wear thin. Supplies dwindled, morale flagged, and dissent simmered beneath the surface. Some called for retreat, arguing that prolonging the fight would only lead to greater suffering. Others demanded more aggressive measures, urging Michael and Serena to authorize risky maneuvers that could tip the balance in their favor. Caught between these extremes, the pair faced difficult choices, each decision carrying profound implications for the future of their alliance. Despite the challenges, their resolve never wavered. With every setback, they adapted, learning from their mistakes and refining their strategies. The invaders, accustomed to swift conquests, found themselves bogged down in a protracted conflict unlike any they had encountered before. And as news of their struggles spread, cracks began to form in the invaders' seemingly invincible facade. It was a small victory, but one that reignited hope among the defenders of Velox. Perhaps, just perhaps, they stood a chance after all. The tide of battle shifted dramatically when the invaders deployed their primary weapon, a massive crystalline structure that began harvesting Velox's atmosphere directly. Analysis revealed its core mechanism resembled corrupted versions of aerial purification technology, suggesting the invaders had encountered and exploited similar species before. Serena recognized ancient symbols etched into the structure's surface, triggering memories of her people's forgotten past. She shared these revelations with Michael during a brief respite in an underground bunker, their proximity sparking subtle physical changes in both. The hybrid serum coursing through Michael's veins resonated with Serena's natural energies, creating an unprecedented symbiotic effect that enhanced their combat effectiveness. This transformation allowed them to interface directly with the purification system, amplifying its range and potency. Where once it had struggled to keep pace with the invaders' energy consumption, it now pulsed with renewed vigor, destabilizing the crystalline structure's core mechanisms. The invaders, caught off guard by this unexpected resistance, redoubled their efforts to destroy the system. Wave after wave of drones and ground troops assaulted their positions, forcing Michael and Serena to rely on their newfound abilities to hold the line. They coordinated attacks with precision, their movements fluid and intuitive. When human artillery faltered, aerial units filled the gap. When aerial shields buckled, human reinforcements stabilized the perimeter. The synergy between their species reached new heights, culminating in a daring operation to plant explosives near the crystalline structure's base. The mission was perilous, requiring them to navigate heavily fortified zones while evading detection. Michael and Serena led the charge, their combined presence striking fear into the hearts of their enemies. When they finally reached the objective, they worked in perfect harmony, disabling security systems and arming the explosives with seconds to spare. As they retreated, the resulting explosion shattered the crystalline structure, sending shockwaves rippling through the atmosphere. The invaders reeled from the loss, their momentum broken and their confidence shaken. Though the victory was costly, it demonstrated the potential of their united forces and silenced many critics on both sides. For the first time, humanity and the Aerials truly fought as one, their differences overshadowed by a shared purpose. As the dust settled and the skies cleared momentarily, Michael and Serena stood side by side, their bond stronger than ever. The road ahead remained uncertain, but they faced it together, knowing they had already achieved the impossible. The first wave of the invasion struck with devastating precision, targeting critical infrastructure while avoiding direct confrontation. Michael coordinated evacuation efforts, while Serena led atmospheric countermeasures, their strategies perfectly synchronized after months of practice. However, the invaders adapted quickly, deploying advanced jamming technology that disrupted communications between human and aerial forces. In the chaos, Michael made a desperate decision. He injected himself with an experimental serum derived from aerial biology, enhancing his ability to process toxic air. The procedure was risky, its long-term effects unknown. Developed by rogue scientists within the underground network, the serum represented a last-ditch effort to bridge the biological gap between humans and Ariels. As the liquid coursed through his veins, Michael felt an immediate change. His lungs expanded, drawing in air that would have been lethal moments before. The toxins no longer burned. Instead, they seemed to energize him, heightening his senses and sharpening his focus. But the transformation wasn't purely physical. He could feel Serena's presence more acutely, as if their connection had been amplified to a molecular level. This newfound ability allowed Michael to operate independently in contaminated zones, bypassing the limitations of protective suits and filtration systems. He became a one-man strike force, infiltrating areas too hazardous for others and sabotaging enemy operations with surgical precision. Yet, the serum came with unexpected side effects. His skin developed a faint iridescence, reminiscent of Serena's silvery hue, and his eyes occasionally glowed with an unnatural light. These changes drew mixed reactions. Some saw him as a hero, a symbol of unity between species. Others viewed him with suspicion, fearing what he might become. Serena, too, underwent a transformation. Her wings grew stronger, their glow intensifying when she was near Michael. Together, they formed a living conduit for the hybrid purification system, amplifying its effects and extending its reach across vast distances. This synergy proved crucial during a pivotal engagement when the invaders attempted to disable the system's central hub. As enemy forces closed in, Michael and Serena stood back to back, their combined energies creating a barrier that repelled even the most advanced weaponry. It was a moment of triumph, but also a reminder of the sacrifices they had made to get there. Their transformations sparked debates about identity and belonging. Were they still fully human and aerial, or something entirely new? These questions lingered in the background, overshadowed by the urgency of the war, but impossible to ignore. For Michael and Serena, the answers mattered less than the impact they could have on the world around them. They embraced their roles as bridges between species, determined to prove that unity was not just possible, but essential for survival. The tide of battle shifted dramatically when the invaders deployed their primary weapon, a massive crystalline structure that began harvesting Velox's atmosphere directly. Analysis revealed its core mechanism resembled corrupted versions of aerial purification technology, suggesting the invaders had encountered and exploited similar species before. Serena recognized ancient symbols etched into the structure's surface, triggering memories of her people's forgotten past. She shared these revelations with Michael during a brief respite in an underground bunker, their proximity sparking subtle physical changes in both. The hybrid serum coursing through Michael's veins resonated with Serena's natural energies, creating an unprecedented symbiotic effect that enhanced their combat effectiveness. This transformation allowed them to interface directly with the purification system, amplifying its range and potency. Where once it had struggled to keep pace with the invaders' energy consumption, it now pulsed with renewed vigor, destabilizing the crystalline structure's core mechanisms. The invaders, caught off guard by this unexpected resistance, redoubled their efforts to destroy the system. Wave after wave of drones and ground troops assaulted their positions, forcing Michael and Serena to rely on their newfound abilities to hold the line. They coordinated attacks with precision, their movements fluid and intuitive. When human artillery faltered, aerial units filled the gap. When aerial shields buckled, human reinforcements stabilized the perimeter. The synergy between their species reached new heights, culminating in a daring operation to plant explosives near the crystalline structure's base. The mission was perilous, requiring them to navigate heavily fortified zones while evading detection. Michael and Serena led the charge, their combined presence striking fear into the hearts of their enemies. When they finally reached the objective, they worked in perfect harmony, disabling security systems and arming the explosives with seconds to spare. As they retreated, the resulting explosion shattered the crystalline structure, sending shockwaves rippling through the atmosphere. The invaders reeled from the loss, their momentum broken and their confidence shaken. Though the victory was costly, it demonstrated the potential of their united forces and silenced many critics on both sides. For the first time, humanity and the Ariels truly fought as one, their differences overshadowed by a shared purpose. As the dust settled and the skies cleared momentarily, Michael and Serena stood side by side, their bond stronger than ever. The road ahead remained uncertain, but they faced it together, knowing they had already achieved the impossible. Victory came at a terrible price. The explosion disabled the atmospheric harvester but released a wave of concentrated toxins that overwhelmed existing filtration systems. Both human and aerial populations faced extinction unless the hybrid purification technology could be deployed on a massive scale. Michael and Serena led teams working around the clock to construct and position hundreds of units, their modified physiology allowing them to endure conditions that would have killed ordinary members of their species. The strain took its toll. Serena's wings lost their luster, and Michael's enhanced metabolism began breaking down his cellular structure. Yet their sacrifice inspired others to push beyond their limits, creating an unprecedented spirit of cooperation. As the network expanded, the invaders intensified their attacks, recognizing the threat posed by this united front. Each successful defense brought the two species closer together, their shared struggle forging bonds that transcended biological differences. Ordinary citizens joined the effort, volunteering to transport materials, maintain equipment, and care for the wounded. What had started as a small-scale collaboration blossomed into a planet-wide movement, driven by the belief that survival depended on unity. Michael and Serena's leadership played a crucial role in this transformation. They moved among the people, offering encouragement and guidance, embodying the ideals they sought to instill. Their presence served as a reminder of what was possible when fear gave way to trust and division yielded to cooperation. Even those who had once opposed their alliance found themselves drawn to their vision, inspired by the courage and determination they displayed. Yet, challenges persisted. The invaders adapted to every strategy, countering advancements with alarming speed. Supplies dwindled, exhaustion set in, and doubts crept into even the most steadfast minds. At times, it seemed as though the odds were insurmountable, the weight of responsibility crushing. But through it all, Michael and Serena remained steadfast, drawing strength from each other and the cause they represented. They knew that failure was not an option, not just for themselves, but for future generations who deserved a chance to thrive in a world free from fear and hatred. By the time the final phase of deployment was complete, the hybrid purification system stretched across Velox like a shimmering web, its nodes pulsing in harmony with the planet's rhythms. It was a testament to resilience, ingenuity, and the power of collective action. And though the invaders still loomed on the horizon, their resolve shaken but not broken, hope flickered anew in the hearts of those who called Velox home. The final assault came without warning, a coordinated strike targeting all major purification nodes simultaneously. Michael and Serena found themselves separated, each leading desperate defense efforts at opposite ends of the battlefield. Their mental connection, strengthened by months of collaboration and biological integration, allowed them to coordinate strategy despite the distance. When Serena's position was overrun, Michael abandoned his post to mount a rescue mission, violating direct orders. His arrival turned the tide of that engagement, but left another node vulnerable. The invaders exploited this opening, destroying several units before reinforcements arrived. The loss hit hard, but the display of selfless courage finally shattered remaining barriers between their peoples. Volunteers from both species rushed to fill the gaps, working side by side with newfound understanding and respect. As they rebuilt damaged nodes and reinforced weakened defenses, stories of heroism and sacrifice spread, inspiring others to join the fight. The sense of camaraderie grew palpable, transforming fear into determination and despair into resolve. In the heat of battle, Michael and Serena discovered new facets of their connection. Their thoughts intertwined, their actions synchronized. They became more than just partners, They were extensions of each other, capable of achieving feats neither could accomplish alone. This unity extended to those around them, as if their bond acted as a catalyst for broader collaboration. Soldiers followed their lead without hesitation, engineers implemented solutions with unprecedented efficiency, and medics tended to the wounded with unwavering dedication. When the dust settled, the invaders withdrew temporarily, regrouping to reassess their strategy. The defenders used this reprieve to fortify their positions and refine their tactics. Michael and Serena addressed a joint assembly of human and aerial leaders, urging them to embrace the lessons learned during the conflict. "We are stronger together," Michael declared, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. "Not because we have no choice, but because it is right." Serena echoed his sentiments, her melodic tones resonating with authority. "Our differences are not weaknesses," she added. "They are strengths, gifts we can share to build a better future." Their words carried weight, bolstered by the evidence of their success. Slowly but surely, attitudes shifted. Old prejudices softened, replaced by a growing recognition of mutual dependence. The alliance forged in fire and blood solidified into something enduring, a foundation upon which a new era could be built. Victory came not through superior force, but through unity and adaptation. The invaders, unable to comprehend the depth of cooperation between two formerly antagonistic species, underestimated their opponents' resilience. Michael and Serena orchestrated a masterstroke, using their enhanced connection to synchronize all remaining purification units into a single, planet-wide network. This unprecedented fusion of human engineering and aerial biology created an atmospheric shield that not only protected Velox, but actively repelled the invaders' technology. As their fleet retreated, damaged and confused by this unexpected resistance, both human and aerial populations watched in awe. The barrier shimmered with colors never seen before on Velox, a testament to the power of collaboration. Though weakened by their sacrifices, Michael and Serena stood together as living proof that different species could achieve more together than apart. Their bodies bore the scars of battle, their spirits tempered by loss and hardship, yet they radiated a quiet strength that inspired all who witnessed it. The aftermath of the victory was bittersweet. Celebrations erupted across the planet, but they were tinged with mourning for those who had fallen. Memorials were erected, honoring the fallen from both species, their names etched into crystal plaques that glimmered under the restored sunlight. Michael and Serena attended these ceremonies, their presence a reminder of the cost of peace and the value of unity. Rebuilding efforts commenced immediately, guided by principles of sustainability and mutual respect. Mining operations transitioned to eco-friendly methods, ensuring that resource extraction no longer harmed the environment. Aerial communities opened their borders, inviting humans to learn from their centuries of wisdom. Educational programs were established, fostering cross-cultural understanding and innovation. Together, they envisioned a future where coexistence was not just a necessity, but a source of pride. Michael and Serena continued to play pivotal roles in shaping this new world, their bond serving as a model for others to emulate. They traveled across Velox, sharing their story and encouraging dialogue between disparate groups. Their journey had been fraught with challenges, but it had also yielded profound rewards, a deeper appreciation for life, a clearer understanding of purpose, and an unshakable belief in the possibility of change. In the aftermath, Velox began a new chapter of coexistence. The hybrid technology, now stable and widespread, not only cleansed the atmosphere but facilitated regular interaction between humans and aerials. Michael and Serena's relationship evolved into a symbol of hope, their biological integration inspiring medical advancements that benefited both species. Mining operations transitioned to sustainable practices developed through joint research, while aerial atmospheric mastery found new applications in human technology. The scars of war remained visible in both landscapes and hearts, but they served as reminders of lessons learned. As Michael gazed skyward through clean air for the first time in years, Serena's wings casting familiar shadows beside him, he understood that their journey was just beginning. Their bond had changed not just their world, but the fundamental way two species viewed each other. The unity they forged had proven stronger than fear, prejudice, or even biology itself. Together, they had faced annihilation and emerged victorious, not just against an external threat, but against the internal divisions that had once defined their existence. The legacy of their alliance would endure for generations, inspiring future leaders to prioritize cooperation over conflict and understanding over isolation. Schools on both sides of the cultural divide began teaching the story of Michael and Serena not as a tale of forbidden love, but as a testament to the power of unity in the face of adversity. Statues were erected in their honor, and annual festivals celebrated the day when two species chose to stand together rather than apart. Yet, for all the progress made, challenges remained. Old prejudices occasionally resurfaced, and tensions flared during periods of scarcity or uncertainty. But each time, the memory of what they had achieved together served as a reminder of what was possible when differences were set aside in pursuit of a common goal. Michael and Serena continued to play pivotal roles in this ongoing evolution, their lives intertwined in ways that transcended mere partnership. They were pioneers, trailblazers, and living proof that even in the most unlikely of circumstances, connection and understanding could prevail. Remember to subscribe for more incredible stories that explore the endless possibilities of interspecies connections and cosmic adventures.